Okay, I've been asked to show my entire system so people can get an idea of what I got going on here. This is my entire system. I have the main fish tank with the 1/2 horsepower pump on the left there. You can see the white PVC pipe coming out. The water then runs all the way down the long PVC pipe, which goes into 2 grow beds that are positioned over the fish tanks. Then I have a second fish tank that is on the bottom right there. Both fish tanks have about 15 tilapia in them. My final grow bed is an old bathtub that I have built a wooden case around and sets there on the right. Right now I have tomatoes that are growing. In this one there's also a few pole beans and green beans. I'm letting those mature so that I can harvest the beans for seeds next year. Also have a little bit of corn, and I have some onions which you cannot see. Okay, so that's the aquaponics system. I have 2 rainwater collection tanks. As you can see, this one is full. This one, I can't tell how full it is. Alright, so now we're going to get a little closer look. I right now have turned off the water circulation system because I have made a slight change. I did have the water coming out along the length of the piece of PVC pipe out of holes and spraying down into the grow beds and into the fish tanks. But I was losing a whole bunch of water that way. You can see there these blue tubs are set up to collect the water that I was losing. I was losing too much water, so I've changed that now, and I have put these ball valves, I think is what they are called. I can regulate the flow that goes into the grow beds by opening and closing the ball valve. I have auto siphons set up in my fish tanks and my grow beds. That's this right here. And if you're familiar with aquaponics, you're familiar with how the auto siphons work. Alright, what I'm doing now is testing to see how much the fish eat. I've turned off the pump. The water has all drained down all the way, so there's no more water flowing from one tank to the other. So I'm going to pour this in. I don't know how much this is, but I'm going to pour in this whole thing. And see, I'm going to pour about half of it in here and half of it in there and see how long it takes. So we're beginning at 335 of this little movie, and I didn't feed the fish this morning, so that will kind of not make my test as... Ooh, you can hear that. They're not coming up where we can see them. Come on, fishies. There you go. Do you see that one? They're coming up to feed. Now, if I'm putting in the right amount, ooh, there was one big one. Maybe you saw that. If I put in the right amount, they should come up and eat this whole amount in about 3 minutes. So it's been about 1 minute for that. We'll go back and check that out in a little bit. There, you might be able to see a fish. Yeah, see it? Floating right on top there. Swimming right on top. Alright, we're going to pour the other half in here. Let's see what happens. Here they come. Ooh, there came one. Feeding them just a little bit earlier than usual. but not very much. Only about a half hour. So they should think it's feeding time. I put that in at about what? Probably 4:40, probably about 4:30. Yep, they're feeding all right, but there's one. They are not consuming the whole amount. Okay, got a mosquito on my hand. I don't think I got it. Okay, so I put the first one in at 3:35. Right now it is 6 minutes, so it's been 2.5 minutes. They're still eating down there, I hear them. I don't know if the caulk that I put on here to close up these holes is dry enough to start. It's been 2 hours. They say it should dry in 2 hours. Alright, it's been 3 minutes now. Look at all that floating on top. Well, one day of testing, it's not a very good estimation. But according to this, I'm feeding them way too much. Because actually, there's a bit of food left in the jar that got stuck because it was wet. And if I'm feeding them too much, which I feed them about 3/4 of this morning and night, so I may be feeding them way too much. While we're waiting, we'll look at the frames I got to build the greenhouse. Let's see here. Alright, you can see there's metal frames there. There's 2 of them. There's the one on the right, there's the one on the left that sits behind that tree as well. I'm going to get corrugated plastic, and I'm going to build a greenhouse out of this. That one on the left, I've measured it. It is just right to set over top of the aquaponics system. So when the tomatoes are done and the corn is done, I'm going to bring this over here and set it down over top and build the corrugated plastic onto it over here. I'm going to build a roof that is able to be opened and closed. When it's closed, it's going to be at a point. When it's open, it's going to be straight up and open. That way I can leave it over it in the summer and in the winter. In the summer I can open it, and I'm going to have a big roll-up door on one end. Maybe I should put a big roll-up door on both ends. So in the summer I can open the door and open the roof, and it won't get too hot. In the winter I can close everything, and it will keep it warm enough, hopefully, especially since the winters here are fairly mild. Okay, well, there's a whole bunch of food sitting on top here still. A fish splashed. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and test this. I'm gonna go ahead and test this and see what happens. I'm gonna come over here, turn on the pump. Oh no. Well, it wasn't long enough. Wasn't long enough. All right, let's see here. All right, I gotta recalk this one and this one and this one and this one I'm just going to recaulk every single one. I'm going to recaulk every single one except for, okay, now that we have this up here, I can open this back up. Yeah, that squirts in there okay. We're opening that back up. I didn't know exactly where to. Not going to open that one, it's too far. There you go. Alright, so we got 5 streams coming back into there. That will oxygenate that. I got to caulk every single hole along here. Except I don't want to caulk these because that shoots water into there and oxygenates my tank there. Let's see what happens when I open this. See, that squirts out. Well, that's okay. I can open that one all the way. And it's that, okay, that one's perfect now. Open all the way. I don't think caulking these will... I don't think caulking these... What happens when I open this one all the way? Actually, that's even better. Okay, with them open all the way, they do perfectly. I don't think caulking these will cause too much more pressure. Let's see what the pressure is like down here. Okay, the water you see is still coming out here. And it will increase, I think, when I caulk all the rest of those. Alright, well, I didn't wait long enough. So let me do this real quick. I can wait all night, I guess, and do it in the morning. I'll wait a little while and I'll come out and I'll pour all this water into the fish tanks, and that will add some oxygenated water. I think they'll survive overnight. One night, that water is pretty oxygenated. Alright. Alright, so I hope you enjoyed seeing my entire system and my new setup. And I gotta get this out of the way. There we go.